This is Barry Burnett, and you've tuned in to Investing Insights with Barry Burnett here on Talk Radio 790 KABC. And I have really enjoyed having an opportunity to visit with a lot of clients over a lot of years. In my 41 years, I've done some really great things and some really amazingly knuckleheaded things. And this show is to keep you in a position where you can hear from a trusted advisor so that you can gain a tremendous amount of leverage from other people's money and other people's experience. If you use your money and your experience, then you are subject to making failings or flaws just like anybody else. But when you do something that you have heard and that you have learned from someone, you're way ahead. And that's a weird position. It's actually called wisdom. So my hope is that you're listening to this and you really want to be wise and you want to learn from other people's failings. And experience is what you get when you don't listen. So as a young man, I started in real estate when I was 19, and I did quite well. I was very successful. When I was 25, I had 9 offices in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We moved from Southern California. I closed up my headquarters in Newport Beach, and we moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we got into a home in Arlington, Texas, right by the lake. And I started teaching at the University of Texas, Arlington, and I had projects going all over the place, and I was building houses. I ended up building 450 executive homes and doing rehabs and fix and flips and buying properties from banks and doing all kinds of just incredible fun time. But when I was 25, my wife and I were driving through a town just south of Dallas, and it was a really, really warm day, and we pulled up to this little tiny shack that had a real estate sign. There was a good old boy, and he was sitting in his rocking chair on the front porch. And I wish I had a picture of it because it really was happening and it really was real. And I got out of the car and I walked up to him. He said, "So what can I do for you, son?" And I said, "Well, my wife and I would really like to buy a ranch somewhere around here." He says, "Oh, where are you from, son?" I said, "Well, I'm from California." He says, "So you want to buy a Texas ranch? You know what a ranch is? How much land do you want?" I said, "We'd love to have about 20 acres and some horses and cattle maybe." And he says, "Oh, well, okay, son. In Texas, a ranch starts with 1,000 acres. If it ain't 1,000 acres, it ain't a ranch. It's just a home place. And if it ain't at least 600 acres, it ain't even a home place. It's a homestead. And if it ain't 300 acres, it ain't a homestead. It's just a place. And if it ain't 100 acres, it ain't even a place. It's just a parcel of land. So you tell me again, you want to buy a Texas ranch?" I said, "I think I'd like to buy a little house in the city." And I learned a tremendous amount of things. One of the other things I had done crazy with a partner, I bought a string of Arabian horses in Los Angeles, and I had them in training and in boarding at the Los Angeles Equestrian Center, which is a spectacular place. If you're a horse person, the LA Equestrian Center is fabulous. But I had this string of horses, and when I was talking to this old boy, I said, "I'd really like to have some horses." He says, "Son, if you're going to have them for pets, that's one thing. But," he says, "don't never invest in nothing that eats nor dies." I'm thinking, okay, I'm back in real estate. So if you're looking for something that you really want some experience, call somebody that you can trust, somebody that can give you from their depth of experience, generally based upon a depth of mistakes, so that you don't replicate those mistakes. Now, if you really are looking for mistakes, God help you. I can't. But if you're looking for something that I can give you some direction, call on us. In fact, go to barryburnett.net, barryburnett.net. We continue to delve into the dazzling D's of investing, and we're talking about direct your property towards your objectives so that you can fulfill your personal dreams, your destiny, shaping each of your properties to reach your desires. I've often said, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. So you want to be able to figure out what you want, aim at it, shape your property purchases and your operations to fulfill your desires. But what do you know about your own personal objectives? Do you have written instructions to yourself about your short-term goals? And do you have definitions of what short-term is in your life? Short-term may be a fix and flip. It may be filling vacancies on a piece of property that is otherwise quite troubled. It may be completely repurposing a property. Short-term for you may be 3 months. It could be 1 year. So define it for yourself. Write it down and get a good grip on it, because then the next is a midterm type of investment, something that's going to carry you from point to point, where maybe you're shooting at getting your kids into college and then being able to liberate yourself from a particular property so that you can actually afford to pay for the tuitions and books. Which is more expensive these days, tuition or books? I know the answer to that. Shoes. So you want to be able to hit your midterm. And a midterm investment, is that remanaging a property or repositioning a property? Or when you look at your property portfolio, something that you didn't realize, you ended up building a lot of equity, maybe more than you expected to park in one particular property. Is it time to refinance because the rates have changed, or because you were on a 5-year fixed rate mortgage and now you're getting ready to go to a 7-year? The commercial and industrial loans are a totally different animal than house loans. Many of the commercial lenders won't sell you an extended long-term product, and it probably won't fit your needs anyway in the shifting marketplace. Is it proper for you to buy a 30-year fixed rate mortgage on an investment property? Well, almost never. And I haven't seen one of those in the last 20 years. I have a dentist who is doing a project right this second, and he's got a 20-year fixed for 20 on a property that he's doing for his own practice. Well, that makes sense. But that's a long-term objective. And if your needs change, and if your life is changing, and if you've got conditions coming up in your life stages, that may be something that you want to define so that you'll be ready to refinance when it's time, or ready to completely repurpose. Now, the interesting thing about life stages are, as we age and we have our first kids, then we're in the child rearing stage. And a lot of our objectives just change, just instantly. Our career path, well, I want to spend more time with the kids. I can't be at those long meetings. I can't do as much travel. I want to spend more time with the kids. I want to coach them. I want to be at their practices. I want to watch their recitals. So that's a life stage. And also when you get a little bit older and your kids start having kids, then you have parents, maybe who your parents are living, and you have kids, maybe still at home. That's called the sandwich generation. I'm in the club sandwich generation. That's where I have a living mother-in-law. Thank God she's alive and healthy. We also have adult kids and grandkids. I've got 4 grandkids, 5.5 and under. And between the octogenarian and the 5-year-olds and 3-year-old and 2-year-old, I'm running. So that changes things. And my real estate investments have to match that. So be ready to match up and find out what your objectives are. Be sure that you're on page with your spouse's objectives. That includes travel, cash flow, education. What do you do for your heirs' retirement? And have you calculated changing health conditions? Well, we'll be right back and talk about that, changing health conditions. This is Barry Burnett. Be right back.